Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. We are working on our million-layer Damascus steel katana. This is a fabulously enjoyable project. Very difficult, and another difficult part that we're going to be starting on today, or continuing on because we started on it yesterday, is the kashira, which is the butt cap on it. And I'm looking at it right now. I'm actually starting to get a little less hopeful that it's going to work. But part of today's episode is going to be making sure that we can get one of these things done. We're also going to be doing the etch on the blades. It's going to be very exciting. Stay tuned. Thank you for being here for another one of our daily episodes. Oakley-dokley, so what do we have here? Well, actually, I'm surprised. I was able to get the rough shape I need from it. I believe we're pretty close. I think leaving it proud is going to be the best course of action, so that then once the cotton is wrapped around it, it will then leave it all flush. It may still be a little proud, but we can easily fix that. The next step is going to be quite difficult because this needs a slot in it to fix the cotton that we have that then wraps the... So I need a slot in it. And I know because of the awfully strange shape of this, it is going to be a little bit of a nightmare to get inside the milling machine. So here's the cotton material I have. Let's see how wide it is. Ooh, about 12 millimeters wide, about 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters thick. And so obviously with that information, so knowing that our cotton material is 12 millimeters wide and approximately 1.5 millimeters thick, obviously depending on squishability, I need to have a think about how it's going to be wrapped inside of this bad boy to work out the dimensions of the slot that needs to be milled. What I think I've decided on doing is making this maybe say 4 millimeters wide, maybe bring it to about 15 millimeters long. The only issue is I now need to work out how I make that accurate to both sides. A worry that I now have is how am I going to get this set up in the vise? Thankfully, because I have a flat there on the back, I'm simply just going to be able to thumb is in the vise. I'm simply going to be able to clamp it straight like this, but the issue is, how do I get this alignment? As you'll see, this is not flat across the top or the bottom, and so putting a parallel under it, yeah, it's not going to give me alignment. Putting a parallel on top and just feeling for it, yeah, it's not going to give me alignment. You know what I'm going to have to rely on? My eye. So we'll give it the old if it looks straight, it is straight trick. Learned that from Jimmy DeResta. Looks straight to me. Now, I was thinking about how I would make this happen, and I just realized I can probably make this happen with this. Now, what do you mean, Alec? Of course you're going to make it happen with an end mill, but how are you going to flip it over? No, I mean, I think I can do it from just the one side. What? Yes! I think I'm just going to do it from one side because this 4 millimeter end mill has the same diameter shank as it does the cutting end. Unlike this 3 millimeter end mill, for example, I say I just go straight for it. Oh, yes, this could be a terrible idea. Right, let's give it a go. Right, let's try the other side. Well, shock horror, would you look at that? There is a hole in there, there is a slot in there that goes through both sides, and I dare say it looks relatively centered. I'm actually quite pleased with that. So the next big step is going to be going into the etch, which is very exciting, but I want to have the tang of the katana finished. That's going to require drilling a hole. It's also going to require touch marking it. But drilling a hole is going to mean that I'm going to need to have everything completely perfect with the handle and how it fits up together. And this is just not perfectly flat. So I'm going to draw it across this piece of 240 grit sandpaper over my granite block. Hopefully this will get me a much better flat. This will then mate up to the copper. We're going to assemble it all together. Somehow we're going to find out where we need holes drilled, and we're going to drill all the holes, which is a very nerve-wracking process. I'm saying that like I've done it before. The reason it's nerve-wracking is I've never done it before, so I have no idea how to do it. That's why it's nerve-wracking. Okay, so that's much flatter. We're gonna go back in, we'll see. Okay, it looks like I'm a little proud on this bottom side here. There's a little air on the underside, which makes me think that this needs to come up, so that needs to come down. One of the things I learned from Walter Sorrell's videos is that this is how you take apart a katana. Ow, ow, it works, but it hurts. Okay, let's give it another go. Okay, there we go. That is a million times better. Very pleased with that. Now I need to work out how it is that I mark a hole that makes this all work. Making katanas is very difficult. Okay, I wonder how far down I'm gonna go with the peg. That looks like it'd be quite attractive. Or, here's an idea. I can go the same amount down as, what is this called?
The hagisaki.
I don't think so. I don't think it's the hagisaki magi-maki. I think I'm going to make it the same length away from our seppers as this copper. Watch more, what's it?
Look at the Hiroshima, is it?
No, it's not the Hiroshima! Jamie, please tell me you were recording that. The interesting thing about the way these are constructed is there is one tiny bamboo, we're doing a bamboo, but we're going to use wood. A wooden peg holds everything together. Now what that means is it is tapered, and you drive it in, or push it in, and it can be then pushed out, and then that tightens it all together, which means that really, I don't want a perfect measurement, I want a measurement whereby I put a tapered pin in there and it closes up any air gaps. I'm sure the Japanese have an actual way of doing this, but I'm going to try and take some feeler gauges and just have a look at the air gaps that we've got and find one that's pretty close to it, so then when I take my measurement, I can go that amount or half that distance back on the wood, half that distance forward on the steel, and that way it'll then hopefully tighten up and close up all those air gaps.
Called a hibaki.
The hibaki! There we go, Jamie! So I was able to get my 0.05 millimeter feeler gauge in here and in here, so I'm then going to basically assume that I've got 0.1 millimeters of gap to fill. And so with this measurement, I'll do 39.05 from the end of the wood to where the hole needs to go. Ow! And here we're going to do 38.95. I think that's how maths works. 8.95. I'll lock off the top one. It has a handy little knob there. And we'll drop it down. 38.95. Tighten it up. Well, that was pretty silly of me. I could try clamping this, then getting my 0 off of that, but I worry that I'm going to get that to stay still enough as I do it. We'll give it a go. And scribe it with the carbide tipped scribe on the height gauge. Hopefully, that is a very precise scribe mark. This is difficult. This is very difficult. The handle obviously wants to be 39.05. So I'm going to hold it down, put pressure, make sure it's flat, scribe it, scribe it. So now as I double check, perfect. Love it. I now need to find the center of this handle on the sides. I'm going to see what I can do to get pretty close to my top height there, 38.3. I'm going to go to 19.15. Scribe it, scribe it, scribe it, scribe it. Something about me really dislikes the idea of doing this. It'd be a great way to break it. Find the middle. So I've now got the handle on it, and I'm just going to find where the middle of this hole is on the tang. There we go, you can even see the 0.1 millimeter differentiation between the tang and the handle that we measured for. Okay, so the handle is on, the hole is there, it's got a little bit of offset. I can just so slightly see it, which is very exciting, which means that when I drive the tapered peg in, hopefully it's going to lock it all together and make it nice and tight. What I'm going to do, actually, before I knock it off, we are going to remove the electrical tape. This is taking forever. Great. If only real life was as easy as editing. I need to make sure that this blade is really thoroughly degreased. Any grease on it, any little oil spots will affect the etch, and we won't get as consistent of an etch. This is the moment of truth. Gonna give it a little stir, make sure it's all mixed up. How many days in are we? What episode is this? This is episode 12. 12 days, and that doesn't count making the Damascus steel. At this point, there's 15 days of work. 15 days getting into the workshop, working away, tiresome work, working away. And this is not the end. This is just where we find out if I wasted that time, because we're going into the etch, the most important part of the whole build. It's why we made it, to celebrate us coming up to 500,000 subscribers. Scary stuff. Let's have a look. Let's check there are no oil spots on it. Oh, baby. That looks beautiful. This thing is something, let me tell you that. We're gonna leave it there for 25 minutes, not 14 hours. I'm gonna set a timer on my phone. In 25 minutes, it's gonna come out of there. We're gonna neutralize it. But the next step is we're going to go back to my father's workshop and we're going to carve the handle so that we can inset some Stingray leather. There is something very rewarding about making sure that when you start a task, you got nice, sharp tools. So my chisels are sharpened up. We're ready for the next step. This is going to be a difficult process. I need to carve a slot in this so that we can inset some Stingray leather. Holy moly. Got my work cut out. I don't know how it is that I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to hold it. I don't know how I'm going to do any of this. All I know is I want a 20mm groove running the whole way down this piece on both sides. Time to start working. So I did these sideways cross hatches into the oak, and it's really looking like this is helping chisel this out of there. I also ran a central groove down there, and I was just taking out one side at a time. Probably difficult. This oak is tearing a lot, so I'm really struggling to make it happen, but we're making it happen, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. We are getting there. Oh yeah. So I'm slowly getting there, just taking my sweet time, working it away, making sure that it's flat, making sure there's an even depth of the groove the whole way along. I'm gonna have a look here. So this is obviously the Stingray leather, and I'm just gonna fit it down there and see how the depth feels. That feels like it should. It's gonna be nice and flush, and it looks like I've got a pretty consistent level the whole way. I'm happy for the Stingray leather to be kind of slightly below the level of the wood, because I can always sand the wood down. The other way makes it a little bit difficult and can mean that it could easily kind of get ripped off of there. The main focus now is making sure that I got it perfectly flat across the bottom and that my sides are neat, and when I look down it, there aren't any kinks, and it looks nice and neat and even the whole way across the handle. I'm taking my sweet time. Something that I guess is difficult to appreciate when you see these projects is just how much time goes into each step. I mean, this is just to get this rough groove here is probably what, 2 hours work?
About 2 hours, yeah.
2 hours. It is a tough process. But that's the price you pay for doing things right. He says, just as he's around the corner from surely making a mistake and doing something wrong. Oh well, let's keep going. Let's true it up. have finally got this clean and it looks neat, and I'm completely shocked because this has just been, I'm shocked, but we've got that one side done. Now what we're now gonna do is, before we move on to the next side, for what reason? Only so that we can make good YouTube content, woo! Because it's gonna take me a lot more time to do the other side. We're going to work out how I can measure and cut the Stingray leather so that it'll perfectly fit inside of there. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. What I'm tempted by, just because I sit this on here, I am tempted by somehow applying pressure and maybe finding a way for that to mark through the backside, maybe chalk, maybe something like that. Nothing comes through. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna try and do. I'm simply gonna cut it wide, gonna get rid of all the rest of this so it's not flopping around on me. And then I'm gonna try and match the contour by cutting over the top of this far side. And then hopefully whittle my way down on the next side of it. Let's see how this goes. This feels wrong. It feels really wrong. There was an eyeball here back in the day. This is difficult to cut. Oh my goodness. This is near impossible to cut. No! This is crazy! This is the hardest material I've ever cut. There we go. Whew! I do not know how I'm gonna get an accurate cut on this. I did not expect this to be so difficult to cut. These little balls here, every time you try and cut through them, the blade has to shimmy its way either side or split it. It's horrendously difficult to cut. This could be a big problem for trying to get an accurate contour. At last! At last! I have Stingray leather that fits the groove. It's only taken 10 trillion hours. 10 trillion hours! But holy moly! Shirts in the description below. At last! It fits. This is awesome. The groove is clean and neat, or at least as clean and neat as I can make a groove. And so that means that side 1 is done. It is now time to start working on side 2. But not just yet, because it's the end of the day, and so I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow as we continue on with the Katana project. Thank you for joining me on these daily videos. It's a thrill to bring you along with what happens here in the workday. Make sure you subscribe. If you're new to the channel, make sure you check out the other videos of the build project. This is quite the series. This is quite the endeavor. This is quite the challenge. Every single step is a challenge. It is a thrill. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.